evening, my name is Arlene Herson. The name of the show is Getting to Know You, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Tonight, we're going to get to know a song and dance man who has danced his way into the hearts of millions. Not just a song and dance man, he is a movie star, dramatic actor, and award-winning television personality. He has starred in some of Hollywood's most lavish musicals like Singing in the Rain, Anything Goes, and There's No Business Like Show Business. And proving there is no business like show business, one of his biggest successes was co-starring with the Mule in Francis the Talking Mule. He is an exceptional entertainer. He is Donald O'Connor, and let's get to know him right after these messages, so please stay right there.
Children are the largest group of Americans living below the poverty line. They have to reach higher for what others take for granted. Healthcare, balanced meals, encouragement to learn. But with help early on, children in your community can gain the skills to get out from below the poverty line. It takes programs like Success by 6 and people like you to help them take the first step. Call to learn more. Change the world of a child, and you change the world.
Vince, that new dummy cam is great.
Yeah, it'll sure give people a whole new outlook on what it's like when you don't wear a safety belt.
I think they'll get the picture.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Your first time as a Junior Achievement Elementary School volunteer can be a little scary. Can you get kids that young to think about their futures? Call us about volunteering, and you'll see. We'll supply you with training for this new program, and the kids will supply plenty of motivation.
We're back. We're with my very special guest, Donald O'Connor, and we're here in his suite at the Wyndham Hotel in New York City. Thank you, by the way, for your hospitality, for having us here.
It's now your suite. The way you moved in with all of the things here, you're going to live here forever.
Well, you make us feel so comfortable, we just might.
That's nice.
That's
nice.
But you have done so many things. As I had mentioned in the introduction, you know, major movie star, of course, musical comedy, television. You had your own television show. I mentioned you won an award when you had your own television show, but you have something brand new now. Something, you know, starting out now, a one-man show. Donald O'Connor on stage. You were in Florida recently. The reviews were sensational.
Yes, they were wonderful. It was really exciting. I had never done that, you know, because I figured nobody wanted to see me for an hour and a half or more. But and I've done some time, but I'd always bring in an act or two in order to break that up, and then I'd go back in it. And I was apprehensive at first, you know. I didn't know whether the audience would sit that long, that I could be entertaining for them that long. And my attention span is about 3 seconds. Well, we started going, and I felt very comfortable, and then, of course, we had the intermission, and we came back with the second half, and I really felt wonderful. I felt that the audience, they were enjoying themselves. They didn't come in as critics or anything. They really wanted to be entertained, and they gave me a magnificent feeling, and I let it all hang out, and we enjoyed each other. It was a marvelous, marvelous experience.
Okay, aside from singing all the songs, or not all the songs, but a lot of the songs that you really made famous years ago in some of the movies you were in, you also leap way off the ground. It seems that you leap 10 feet off the ground in a number of Bojangles number, I think it is. Or I mean that's incredible. First of all, you know, for anybody to leap. Are you in that great shape that you can sustain it?
Well, now, what year are we talking about? How many, now or then?
Now. No, now. Oh, then you were in super shape, but now, leaping up, you know, so far.
I can't jump as high, but a lot of hand movements, boy, I'm telling you. No, I wish I could. You know, if I could do a run up the wall and do the back somersault from Singing in the Rain, I'd do it for you right now. No, but I tell you where I got my height, being able to spring so high. You know, I come from a circus family in vaudeville. And one of the things that we did on the circus, which we also brought over into vaudeville for a while, we did a barrel jumping act. And that is not like you would imagine skaters jumping over barrels, but we would do like running, then we do a backflip into a barrel, and a backflip into a barrel up on a table, and then do maybe a full twister out of that into another barrel and a forward, pardon me, out of that one. And so we had to, working around the barrels, we never worked with trampolines inside of them. So my brother Jack was known as the Nijinsky of acrobats because of the elevation that he used to get. So I was taught too, and then it comes from the tendons in the legs and everything else, I guess, in order to get you up high like that. And that was just left over from those old days of barrel jumping.
Okay, you know, the old days of barrel
I
jumping.
was also, sweetheart, I also weighed 118 pounds then too. I mean, that helped.
Okay, well, you know, getting back to the days of the barrel jumping, we've heard people say things like, born in a trunk, show business is my life. But you really can say it because, as you mentioned, your family were circus performers. You started performing, I think, at 3 months old. The whole family got involved, mother, father, sisters, brothers. What kind of act did you have?
Well, we originally, my mother, it's quite unusual. You usually hear about boys running away from home and joining a circus. Well, mother, she ran away from home and joined a circus. That's where she met my father when she was 12. And they got married when she was 13, and she had the first kid when she was 14.
Wow.
So as soon as they met, he was an acrobat, strong man, principal leaper, trapeze artist, clown, everything you could think of. And as soon as they got together, married, and they had the first child, as soon as it was born, it went right into the act. And as, like when I was born, I was the only kid, 1 out of 7, that was born in a hospital in Chicago, Illinois. And I swear we must have been doing a benefit there at the time. But anyway, as soon as I was born, in this instance, mother was out of the hospital in 3 days and went right back into the act. And what she did then, until she recuperated, was play the piano. That was the easiest thing for her. So I was right with her on stage, right on the piano bench. So I was actually, went from the hospital, 3 days old, right there on stage. And so from that time on, then I started making a salary when I was 13 months old.
Oh, wow. Well, it's about time that you got paid. Your mother sounds like a phenomenal
Boy,
woman.
just lying around being a kid.
Well, but you mentioned your father. He was a circus strongman. He was,
did everything.
Very fit. Yeah, but he died very young. You were 3 months old, I understand.
No, I was 13 months old.
13 months old.
And what happened there, it was very, very difficult for my mother at that period because we were working in Hartford, Connecticut, and in between shows, my sister was 6, was wheeling me in a baby buggy, and we were hit by a car. It killed her, and I survived. And then 13 weeks later, we were working in Worcester, Massachusetts, and my father dropped dead on stage. So then I left my mother with all of this terrible, terrible thing that was happening at that time. Left her with the act, with the kids and everything. And at that time, she was still a young woman. But they, circus performers, vaudevillians, people in the business, they always have that thing, the show must go on. And for a very, very good reason. Unlike so many other professions, in this one at least, you have an opportunity through tragedy to go out and perform. You don't miss a show for that reason. You work through it. You work through the tragedy, you're sharing it, even though the audience doesn't know what's happening, you cover that up. Your business is there to entertain. But at the same time, in a very strange way, their happiness and joy is giving you relief. That's why the show must go on.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever really been explained in a book or anything else. Exactly. The other one, cliche, is that you don't get paid, you know. But it's much more important, at least to the old-timer, the circus performer and the vaudevillian.
Yeah, I like your explanation much better.
First time I ever thought of it. It came out so easy, didn't it?
Was it a heart attack that he died on stage?
Heart attack. He was 46.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Wow. Okay, but your mother kept everything together. And as a matter of fact, speaking about heart attack, because you had mentioned you had something very
I had a
recently.
heart attack 14 years ago. And just recently I had an angiogram. And I just went in for that. And while we're having it, the doctor felt I should have a triple bypass rather than fool around with the angioplasty. That's the balloon, you know, and the wire, and they open up the artery. He said, rather than fool around with that, why don't we have a bypass and everything? And I said, well, I haven't prepared myself for that. I haven't taken care of anything. I have commitments. And he said, well, I'm not going to fool around with it. If I can open it up, fine. If not, we have everyone standing by. It'll be a very easy transition. We'll do it. I said, fine. But he tried it, and he opened it up. And so I've been wonderful ever since. I haven't had angina or anything. And so, of course, I have to go back for another angiogram in 5 or 6 months to see how things are going. But that really is nothing. What they're doing now, the technology is absolutely incredible. A year ago, he didn't have a wire or a balloon that's small enough in order to open up my artery. It was impossible. So just in 12 months, they were able to work it out, refine it, and do it. And he said, who knows, in 6 months they might have the laser, where that'll do away with most of your bypass surgery.
Right. Well, it's
It'll be
a
wonderful.
good thing that you went to the doctor, because I understand that you weren't even feeling sick. It was
Yeah, I was
just
feeling real good, you know, and it wasn't bothering me too much or anything. And then by, you can see it on the television screen. It's better than some of the television shows I've seen lately.
Okay, well, I want to go back again before we get into what's happening now, but back again to your childhood, because it was so unusual. Did you ever, you traveled on the road, your mother kept the family together. Did you ever go to school?
Yes, I went.
Regular school?
Oh, yeah. I went to, we had to. It was mandatory. We had what they call the Gary Society, which started here in New York about slave labor with children, which had nothing to do with show business kids, because we were well protected, well taken care of. We made a ton of money as babies. But anyway, that still came under a blanket category. So I would do my lessons. I went to Mrs. Lawler's school here in New York. They'd send me my lessons. I'd do them in the dressing room. My mother was my teacher, or whoever else was around that had a modicum amount of intelligence. And I'd do my lessons, send them in. If we were working Chicago, and if we were to jump to Worcester, Massachusetts, I'd know if I went in the next grade or not that way. So that's the way we did it.
Okay, so you didn't actually attend a regular school. You had your work brought
That's
back
right.
in. And in between your
I went to Hollywood Professional School, I think for about 6 months. I was in Hollywood. That's all for professional kids. That's from 8 o'clock in the morning until 12:30 in the afternoon. And most of my education came through the studios at Paramount and at Universal Studios. And I had 2 magnificent teachers, and we only had 4, maybe 5 kids tops in class. So you had that individual attention. I'll tell you what happened. When I went in to Paramount, I was in the 7th grade, and Rachel Smith was her name. She was a wonderful teacher. She had 8 years of college by the time she was 20. She graduated from high school when she was 12.
Wow.
And I went in 1 year, I went from the 7th grade to the 10th grade. I jumped 3 grades. And at the end of the year, you have to go down to the Board of Education. They grade you to see whether or not you really can do the work that you've been given and what you've been graded on. And sure enough, that was it. And that happened to me twice. Then I went to Universal, and in 1 year, I went from the 10th grade to the 2nd year of college.
Hey.
So it's all because both teachers were interested in you. It was wonderful that they could give you direct. They were communicating with you direct. They didn't have 50 or 60 kids in a class.
Okay, so obviously you weren't deprived as a child.
Yeah.
We're going to talk some more. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk some more.
All right.
We're here with Donald O'Connor, and we'll be right back after these messages, so please stay right there.
So, whose influence are you under?
The air dances with the waters, which brings the rain that feeds the land, that is home to the animals. All life dances together.
In a world so connected, choosing one environmental cause can be hard. EarthShare is 40 environmental charities working together. You and your company can help by calling 1-800-MY-SHARE.
All life lives, or doesn't, together.
When Raymond was 6, I was afraid to take him to the playground because they were doing drugs. When he was 10, I couldn't let him play ball in the schoolyard because of the gangs. When he was 15, I wouldn't let him go to any dances because there could be a fight or a shooting. Now he's a man, and I realize he's never been a kid.
Give your children back their childhood. Do something now. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT. Together, we will take a bite out of crime.
We're back with my very special guest, Donald O'Connor, and we're here in his suite at the Wyndham Hotel in New York City. We were talking about, actually, you've done so much, but you started out, really, after you left the family, you mentioned Universal, but I think you started with Paramount as a child star. In the first year, you made a dozen movies. You were an overnight movie star, and then suddenly, it was over. What happened?
Well, I started to grow, and I went through that awkward stage. And I went through 2 years of that, and then I went back and played whatever was left of vaudeville. It was really the dregs then. And we played some theaters, which used to be palaces, really run down. And that was a period between 1940 and the end of 1941. It's almost 2 years. And we were working at the Stratford Theater in Chicago, which was a split week, and on the bill was Jack LaRue and Vince Barnett. And someone saw me, and we got a wire from Universal Studios asking my mother if I'd be available to do a picture called What's Cooking at the studio. And she said, yeah, they send us the money. So they sent us the money to get out there. And that started my second career with Peggy Ryan, Gloria Jean, Jive and Jackson Jills, all those wonderful little musicals.
Okay, and then they went on from there to things like Anything Goes and No Business Like Show Business.
Well, no, there was another hiatus period. See, at least as far as my physical activity was concerned, I made 13 pictures in 1 year with Peggy Ryan and Gloria Jean. We worked 7 days a week. We had no, you know, and we worked all hours and everything. And then after that, because I was going into service, and the pictures were making so much money, they wanted to put them in the can and show them after I went in. So my career was going up when I was in service. As a matter of fact, I'd get a call from various commanding officers asking me where I'm getting all these furloughs to make pictures. And I said, I made all these pictures before I went in. So anyway, now I got out of service, and Universal had merged with International. And I was around there for a year after I was discharged, and they didn't do anything with me. So I decided to go out on the road and make some money. So I went and played the Oriental Theater in Chicago, and that time you couldn't get in. I mean, really, the career was at a very high level. They were doing fantastic business. That's when they said they better get O'Connor for a picture. They said, well, he's under contract. Let's do something with him. So I made a picture called, I think it was Deanna Durbin's last picture, Something in the Wind. Made 3 or 4 other, Are You With It? All wonderful little pictures. They all made money. Then came the Francis series. And at the same time came the Colgate Comedy Hour. And at the same time came Singing in the Rain. All of these things mushroomed.
Wow, okay, the Francis movies, you kind of went over that quickly. That was your co-star was a mule, Francis the Talking Mule. Okay, I know I'm going to lead into this, but what was it like working with a mule? I mean, as a co-star.
I thought, you know, the answer, I thought of that the other day. That's right, somebody said, what did it feel like working with Francis? I said, I felt like a jackass. I just thought of that the other day. I don't use it as a stock line. But we got along beautifully, and it was marvelous for my career because I'd been known primarily as a song and dance man. Even though I went in as a legit actor when I was a kid, I was groomed to be a heavy actor. So I just lucked into this song and dance thing. So when I worked with the Mule, it gave me a chance to, not only, they were all comedies, but it gave me a chance to show a serious side too. Well, they were wonderful.
And they were so successful, made millions of dollars
They sure
at the box
did.
office. Now, during that period of time, you mentioned going into the service. You're married now to a lovely lady, matter of fact, here in the suite. Her name is Gloria. And but it's your second marriage. The first time you got married, you were, I believe, 18 years old. You married a 17-year-old starlet. That's just when you were becoming a star, just when your career was taking off. Why did you get married at 18?
I liked the girl. And I wanted to possess her, I guess. Who the hell knows why you get married at such a young age? It's ridiculous. Besides, I was going into service. I thought I was never coming back. You know, it's like a lot of people go in. They figure they get killed over there, and that's the end of any responsibility. It was easier.
That's right, because you got married, I understand, the day before you went into the service as well.
The day before, I went down to Tijuana, got married. She drove me to Fort MacArthur, and I disappeared into the fog. But afterwards, of course, she turned out, I taught her how to be a comedian. She had the ability anyway. And she was very, very good actress, very, very pretty girl. The marriage didn't work out. I have a daughter by that marriage, Donna, who's a beautiful girl. And I taught all the kids how to sing and dance and brought them on stage right from the time they were born, like my family brought me on the stage. That was in case they ever wanted to go into show business.
Yeah, do any of them? You have 3 children.
I have 3 with Gloria.
And 1 from your first marriage.
And one from, yeah. I was married the first time for 9 years, and we've been married now for 28. We'll be married 29 years in October. I was once single.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I don't quite remember it, but I was once single. I think I had fun when I was single.
Well, we're going to take a break and maybe talk about some of that fun when we come back.
All right.
We're speaking with Donald O'Connor, and we'll be right back after these messages, so please don't go away. We'll be right back.
Here's one time it doesn't matter who your neighbor is. Here's the other. Life's too short. Stop the hate.
Drunk driving doesn't just kill drunk drivers. Next time your friend insists on driving drunk, do whatever it takes to stop him.
Your approach is looking good, Cobra.
The men and women in the National Guard and Reserve face some tough challenges when they serve. Challenges that teach them discipline, leadership, and technical skills that make them better employees. So when they need time off to serve, don't make their toughest challenge approaching you.
We're back with my guest, Donald O'Connor, and the time is going very quickly. You have, you're going to be performing, you are performing now in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, but
right.
You have performed in your career so far with some of the major people, Jimmy Durante, Bing Crosby, Gene Kelly, Ethel Merman. Did you make personal friends with the people that you performed with?
Yes, I think we were all very, very involved with one another, though we rarely ever saw one another. It's a crazy business, and at least with me, I enjoy working with all of the people I've worked with. I think I've only worked with maybe 1 or 2 bummers in my whole career.
Oh, can you tell us who they are?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even. But just people really that, you know, when you meet someone, you find it a little difficult to talk to the person, to find anything to talk about, and there are long pauses. That's the kind of people I'm talking about. We didn't have anything in common. But, oh sure, I've always enjoyed all of the people I've worked with, become very, very, very dear friends, but rarely ever see each other. One guy I loved dearly, and we were like buddies every time we ran into one, and that was Walter Brennan, who was a magnificent guy. Bing certainly was a great guy, and Bob Hope. I could call Bob a very dear friend, and we rarely ever see each other.
Okay.
He's a marvelous guy. He doesn't know he's a star.
Oh, well, but he certainly is,
sure.
as you are. And it's a wonderful life being a star. I mean, it's there are people around you all the time. There's the adulation. There's, you know, all that wonderful applause that you get on the stage. But it's not always terrific. I mean, there is a time when, in everybody's career, you're not always on the top, that the people aren't waiting in line for you. How do you deal with that time? Do you say, hey, it was wonderful, and this is another phase, and then I'll be back again? What's it like during that in-between period?
Well, some people, like when it was very interesting, I was talking to Jim Garner. I saw him recently. He's an old golfing buddy. Jim's a marvelous guy. And he was saying, oh, he's making so many movies. I'm trying to answer your question with an analogy. And he said, I make so many movies, so tired. He said, I'm going to quit. I'm just going to take it easy. Just select. If he's out of work for 5 minutes, he feels he's not wanted. And here Jim's a big star, you know. But the way, I don't know, where I've been up and down now, this is about my 15th comeback. I've been up and down like a yo-yo. The thing has never bothered me because I'm an entertainer. I'm a performer. I was raised, like my family, to be versatile. Number one, in the old days, I guess it still exists today, that the more you can do, the more you're paid. So, if comedy's not in this season, we go to the dancing. I can still dance a little bit, not like I used to, but I can still hoof. And if dancing's not in, we go to the drama. If the drama's not in, we go to something else. I am, and hopefully, changing with the public's taste, and also honing my wares in everything that I do, like doing this show that I'm doing now.
Exactly, at Claridge in Atlantic City.
Right.
How to succeed
How
in
to
business
succeed.
without really trying.
I do that. I do plays, I do concert work, do the one-man show, and I keep doing all of these things. So I'm never really out of it as a performer. I don't sit back and wait for 5 or 6 or 7 months for the agent to call. I'm constantly active and constantly doing something, because I think that's the only way you can progress. The other thing, too, is that with the peaks and valleys, tenacity and stick-to-itiveness is one of the things that make for longevity. And I seem to have that built in, merely because this is the business that I was born for and born into. This is my profession.
Yeah.
And that's why these peaks and valleys of, as you were, the thing you were talking about, I don't feel it so much because I'm active, and should the career rise again and be magnificent or, you know, wonderful. If it's not, this is my business, this is my profession.
Okay, you're true when you say this is your business and this is your life and that's what you've done. And the people that work with you, Donald O'Connor has been described as shy by some people, sweet, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I mentioned that Red Buttons had told me that that he thought you were one of the nicest people that he has ever met.
Because I laugh at his jokes, that's why.
No, everybody said nicely. We only have 30 seconds left. How would you describe Donald O'Connor?
Oh, I think that's pretty difficult. I think I'm a composite about everybody that professionally, everybody I've ever seen or liked, worked with personally, or just love them from afar. I try to incorporate everybody I can, including women. Edna May Oliver was one of my favorite actresses. I do some readings like her. As a personality, I don't know. I sort of swing with life, try to bring forward some of my experiences in the past, from the past.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to share some of your experiences with us, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish we had more time. I've got hours.
Me too. We'll talk about that after.
I could bore you for days.
No, thank you very much for being on the show. I hope that you have enjoyed getting to know Donald O'Connor. I know that I certainly haven't. You'll join us again next week. Meantime, good night. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.